welcome you inside the championship capital of Philippine basketball, the Smart Araneta Coliseum. I'd like to thank the guys in the studio, and I'd like to reiterate that my favorite color is blue, or azul. Okay, we're set for our second game para sa Super Bowl Sunday. Jimmy Alapag and the Talk and Text, Trop of Texters, will go head-to-head with Paul Lee and the Rain or Shine Elasto Painters. Rain or Shine, they're hell-bent to try and finally beat Talk and Text tonight. But Donnell Harvey will make it tough. Bruno Shundov, on the other hand, hopes to make that dream a reality for Rain or Shine. So, Rain or Shine, they've tried to beat Talk and Text several times, and they've failed all those times, and they'll give it one more big try tonight to finally conquer Talk and Text, but naturally, it will be quite a challenge. Magandang gabi, Nico Alili with Jason Webb. And what is it about Talk and Text, Jason, na parang hindi sila ma-overtake ng Rain or Shine in a ball game?
The two teams that you shouldn't ask that question to are one, Rain or Shine, and the other, Petron. The Talk and Text is coming off a very good victory in which nakita natin very emotional victory against Petron, and they're gonna come over to this game with hopes high and very good confidence against a Rain or Shine squad that they have dominated since the championships of the last conference.
Okay, we're going to look at the first meeting between Talk and Text and Rain or Shine in this tournament, and Talk and Text simply the better team in that ball game.
It's been tough right now para dito sa Rain or Shine. They can't seem to find the answer kontra dito sa Talk and Text. It was a very bad game for them. One of the games in which you could say na makakalimutan na nila dito sa konferensyang ito. But nonetheless, you look at this Talk and Text team, and they're a team on the rise right now because ever since dumating si Donnell Harvey, their record's been pretty solid.
And also that win over Petron for Talk, that is huge. Huge for confidence and huge for momentum. And we now bring in Erica Padilla into the conversation. Erica?
Magtatapat na naman ang Rain or Shine at TNT at aabangan natin if this will be the 7th loss of the Elastopaters against the Tropa this season. And of course, Rain or Shine does not want that, but more than just beating TNT, the biggest motivation na binigay ni Coaching is that kapag nanalo sila, they will be tied up with Alaska on first place. At para manalo tonight, the concern of Coaching is the import matchup, which was the focus of their two-day practice. Of their two-day practice. Para naman sa TNT, wala naman na daw masyadong secrets between the two, so kailangan lang daw talaga limit the fast break points, control the import at the post, and be able to close out well on perimeter players. Balik sa inyo, Jan.
Oh, we saw Coach Yang. Coach Yang was not part of that initial meeting between these two teams. That will be a big factor as well.
Well, at least you have your main coach right now if you're Rain or Shine. But nonetheless, what happens here is you look at Talk and Text. Para sa Talk and Text, they have a formula. And that formula has worked against Rain or Shine. Until Rain or Shine is able to find a solution to that, they're just going to keep on going to that. And 6 games is a 6-game winning streak is nothing to laugh at right now.
Speaking of formula for Talk and Text, Jimmy Alapag is part of that winning formula. And you probably still remember that big 3-point shot by Jimmy. This was to tie the game, and that swung momentum in favor of Talk and Text, and they eventually won in overtime. We've seen this over and over mula kay Jimmy.
And seen over and over by Petron against Talk and Text. They've just been tormented by Talk and Text, speaking of Petron. But going back to Talk and Text, Jimmy Alapag, he is still the guy that talagang babantayan mo at hahanapin mo. Pag umahabol ang Talk and Text o kailangan ng big shot, you have to locate Jimmy Alapag.
Number 16, center number 14, Bruno Shundov. Power forward number 3, Paul Pilga. And the forward number 10, David Norwood. And the coach of the Elastopaters, Yang Yao. The officials for this ball game are Teneva, Johnny Mariano, and Roy Guevara. The other
Yang Yao and Norman Black. Again, it surely will be a chess game between those two decorated gentlemen as you look at our primary protagonists for tonight.
Si T.Y. Tan starting, and it seems for Rain or Shine, that's a matchup that they're pretty happy with in terms of defensive-wise, because T.Y. is a guy that can hound Jimmy Alapag.
Herrera, Jimmy Mariano, and Noy Guevara, that's our officiating crew for this ball game. And Jimmy sent it to Donnell Harvey. Talk about the Jason. This import matchup. You have Shundov and you have Donnell Harvey. It's a weird matchup.
and you have two players. Yung isa, may kalakihan, but able to score. He had a huge game in the last game. His conference high. Speaking of that my guy right now, Donnell Harvey. But they're able to bring a facet to the game that's necessary for their team. For Rain or Shine, they need size and a presence underneath. For Talking Tech, they need a very good rebounder. Remember, this is a team that is not playing with Ali Peak for most of the entire conference so far.
Rain or Shine is on the scoreboard. They're on top, 2-0. For Nasher, Kelly Williams, Donnell Harvey, Rich Alvarez, and Jimmy Alapag starting unit for Coach Norman Black. Shot clock down to 10 for Talking Text. For Nasher to Donnell Harvey, and here's Kelly Williams. Shot clock down to 4. Pass goes straight to T.Y. Tab. T.Y. aggressive move. Elbow, rebound, Rich Alvarez. You know, yung absence ni Ali Peak. I mean, how big is that? I mean, should Talking Text fans put a lot of meaning into Ali's absence, or is Talking Text dealing with it well?
They're dealing with it all right. They're not dealing with it well. But you can see that traveling call. But Raba was saying they're trying to give Raba the minutes na nawala para dito, or dapat nila makuha para kay Ali Peak. But it's a big difference. You know, Ali Peak is a guy that has been so consistent from the post for them, and it gives him a different dimension when Ali's there, of a guy that can post up and change the pace of the game.
Talking Text with 10 seconds to work with, and that's a foul lamang kay Gabe Norwood. That's his first personal.
In this game, we're hoping that it's going to be a high-scoring game, because both teams right now, top two teams in terms of scoring in the league.
Just so you know, these are two teams that are in the upper half of the team standings, as Harvey throws up an air ball. Here's Pelga.
Also block a lot of shots. And speaking of Bruno Shundov, pero dahil napakalaki niya, iilag mo yung bola.
Here's Norwood over Lanny Funacer, and that will be 2 free throws for Gabe Norwood.
There's nothing to dissect again what Bruno Shundov brings. We've talked about it on one hand. Defensively, he has the size, but also, it was a surprise to me, Miko, when I looked at Rain or Shine. They're actually the #1 team right now in rebounding. And historically, this is a team that struggles in rebounding. Pero pag tiningnan mo, yung stats ni Shundov, isipin mo, dito nang galing yung mga rebound na yun. It's actually not true. One of the imports that doesn't really average a lot of rebounds, but the size or the space that he occupies gives opportunities for the rest of the guys. Right now, Bo Belga averaging more than 7 rebounds a game. That's a lot, because he averaged less than that during the All-Filipino.
Talking Text, hindi pa nakaka-score in this game. Here's Belga for 3. Rebound, Shundov. Shundov, there's that height advantage for Bruno Shundov.
Is that a teardrop?
Layup.
Early release eh.
Harvey. Kelly Williams. And Talking Text having problems scoring dito sa opening period.
It's not really their best scoring unit on the floor. I remember last time Jimmy and actually
Bakit ba lagi silang nagsasama?
alam mo, hirap na naman kasi si Shundov dahil ang hirap apapit ni Jimmy Alapag.
Talking Text players hindi pa makaupo. They can only sit down once they get a field goal or a point on the scoreboard. And Jimmy allows them to finally sit down. Talking Text with 2 points on the scoreboard. Lamang pa rin ang Rain or Shine 5-2 in the opening moments of the opening quarter. DY Time is joined by Bo Belga, Shundov, Jeff Chan, and Gabe Norwood. Here's Shundov for 3.
He's not great at it. That's shooting that 3-point shot, but the belief is there. He shoots 30%. That's not great, but pwede na.
For a guy his size, about 30%. Why not? Why not? Why not? Oh, Belga for three.
3-point shooting, not really a strength of Rain or Shine so far this conference. But right now, it's the big guys that are getting the 3-pointer. 7-footer? No problem. What about a 6'6", 200-plus pounder? No problem as well. Rain or Shine up by 9.
Good start para sa Elastopainters here in the opening quarter. That's the thing about Rain or Shine. Bruno Shundov, he's like the tallest import, but he takes 3-point shots. Donnell Harvey, a little unorthodox, not a very flashy import, won't give you alley-oops, but does a little of everything para sa Talking Tex.
And they're both exactly what they needed. We talked about Shundov earlier. Now let's talk about ito naman si Donnell Harvey. Talking Tex is a team, ang gusto nilang import, kayang sumabay dun sa bilis, sa ligse ng mga players nila. And Donnell Harvey able to do that because although he doesn't seem like the quickest of guys, but the pace or the speed is there na makasabayan niya yung kanyang mga kape.
Ball will go to Rain or Shine. Donnell Harvey is very relentless. Got 2 attempts in that one sequence. Pero problema ng Talking Tex dito. A quick start for Rain or Shine. Jeff Chad. That guy's open actually. Time winding down for the Elastopainters. Here's Gabe on the right side. He fires a 3 and outside shooting for Rain or Shine.
Yes, because they're due. Right now, they're 9th in the league in 3-point shooting. But you look at this team, there's so many players in that team that have the confidence to make that shot.
It's by Rich Alvarez. What a drought para sa Talking Tex here in the opening chapter. EY. Inside, Shundov. Very good entry pass mula kay T.Y. Tang.
A good patience on his part, almost close to over-dribbling, but he kept his head up. And when you keep your head up, you have an opportunity to see the guy open, and Shundov making himself available. Good start para sa Rain or Shine. About to get 15 points from 15 to 16 in less than 5 minutes.
We're not used to seeing Talking Tex allow this many points this soon, especially against a team that they've owned in the last 6 minutes.
At kung titingnan natin itong taon para sa Talking Tex, so one thing that has been, that we've seen a drop-off in, it's actually the defense. And right now, again, it's the defense that struggled. Of course, offense has been a struggle as well, 0 out of 9. When you give up 16 and you only have 2, you have to think both facets are not at par or what you want to see.
A good play, Shundov, and here's Gabe with a layup. A blistering start for Rain or Shine, and now leads 18-2 against Buck and Tex as we near the halfway mark of the opening period. It's all Rain or Shine.
Nothing going right para dito sa Talking Tex. Una nga, hindi na sila makashoot. But this time around, they don't even give themselves a chance to shoot because they turn the ball over. Quick hands on the part of Shundov, quick hands on his part, and then Norwood with an easy layup.
That's the thing with Rain or Shine. You know, they're so difficult to scout. Shundov is not a shot blocker, but he can disrupt the offensive patterns of Talking Tex.
Yung sinasabi nga dyan, labas mo lang yung kamay mo. The wingspan of this guy and the amount of space that he covers, it makes it difficult for the offense. But the trick is to use your quickness against him.
Here's Jimmy. Jimmy fires. And still no basket here. And Talking Tex with only 2 points on 2 free throws by Jimmy Alapad. Therefore, wala pa silang ni isang field goal, wala pa ang Talking Tex.
0 out of 10 Nico at the moment.
In and out for Gabe Norwood. Here's Kenny Williams, and he is hammered by Big Bo Belga.
That's his first 3 on the Elastopainters.
So yung pinakamagandang opportunities ng Talking Tex to score so far has been through the free throw line.
Because sometimes when you have an emotional game, which Talking Tex had in their last outing, that emotional game against Patron that went into overtime, when you don't have a long enough rest, sabi nila, keep on playing. But sometimes you want to savor that a little bit, and it looked like itong Talking Tex not really on overdrive to start this game.
I can assure you that must have been a draining experience. Go up against Petron, you know, there's bad blood between Talking Tex and Petron. It's a perpetual situation. And they force the overtime, and then they win in overtime.
Yun yung talo na. Nanalo pa.
Here's Kelly. Castro spins. Drop pass to Mel Harvey. Lots of time to shoot for Talking Tex.
One of the things that Rain or Shine does a lot of is actually foul. Rain or Shine gets into the penalty, and they're the best in terms of shooting the basketball from the free throw line.
Let's see the first appearance of Ranidel de Ocampo. Replacing Kelly Williams. Another missed attempt para sa Talking Tex. And you can really feel the confidence of Rain or Shine. It radiates even through your TV screens, I'm sure. Oh, nice move. Shundog.
He's having a good start. He's got 11 points already.
You know, Jason, you can feel there's the sense of shock and awe around the Coliseum. There is that feeling ng mga tao dito na, what are we? Is this for real?
But can you feel two things? You have that shock factor, but you also have this side of some Talking Tex fans that are going, okay lang, mamaya.
Parang, marami na siguro panic. Hindi panic.
Unti-unti lang.
Also very confident. This is just a sizzling start para sa Rain or Shine. Missed by PY.
I love how Mel Harvey is able to put his body between Bruno Shundog and the basket. Good pops out on his part. That's why he's able to clear that defensive glass.
4.5 remaining in the opening period. This by Ranidel, who's normally very effective at the post,
And a bad miss at that.
Shundog, PY, Helga, passed up on a shot. Ryan Aranya celebrated his birthday yesterday, and he will take 2 free throws. So first personal laban kay Ranidel, 2 free throws para kay Ryan Aranya.
Of this game is going to be both teams that actually use 9, 10, sometimes even 11 players just to make sure that, because they have complete faith dun sa mga players nila on the bench. You look at Talking Tex right now, they're digging deep into their bench as well.
In fact, Talking Tex dug into their bench early. Norman Black plucking Rich Alvarez from the depths of that bench to start this game.
Boy already,
Yeah. Here's Ranidel. Ranidel for 3. Finally, maybe Talking Tex will use that to get some legitimate momentum going here.
And that's because this is a team that has superstars on the bench. They started out with Rich Alvarez. That actually kept Ranidel on the bench. Yet pagpasok them, they have a legitimate score coming out of there.
Wow, the outside shooting, shine. It's so contagious. Everyone's doing it. Backcourt, front court, 7-footers. Everyone's making their outside shots.
And they have to stay confident with that, because when if you remember the finals, if Talking Tex allowed the big men of Rain or Shine to shoot from the outside early in games, and they couldn't make it, and they only adjust pag nakakashoot ka na.
Missed by Jeff Chan, rebound Ranidel. This is a 12-point game, and Donnell Harvey makes it a 10-point game.
Bilis bumawi ng Talking Tex. Kanina kalaman, umabot na ng 16. Nagpalit lang ng tao. You see Talking Tex does not lose any talent when they change personnel.
Nice pass, TY has been playing brilliantly at the point guard spot, and Kinyan is the beneficiary of a TY pack assist.
And as a whole, brilliant offense by Rainer Shine. They have 8 assists out of 9 field goals.
That's a miss para kay Castro. He made one earlier, and here's Kinyahan. And, Kinyahan makes it. If a fast break is completed by anyone from extra rise, that should be front rows. Because there's no excuse for either Bo or JR na mauna against anyone else.
Well, Coach Norman has already used 2 timeouts. I'm sure after that one, he would have wanted to use another one. It was like transition defense, just failing them right there.
Back to a 14-point lead para sa JR again.
Actually, just a bad pass, pero JR Kinyan able to outrun yung bumabantay sa kanya.
Back in a moment. Bruno Shundov getting a well-deserved rest on Raiders bench. How come no one is mentioning Bruno Shundov in the mga best import conversations?
That's right. You've heard a lot of names. Maybe
Yes, Osher, diba?
Sandmix, import. You know what?
Bowls.
You can talk about that best import all you want during the eliminations. The talk only really matters when you reach the semis and sometimes all the way to the finals.
For more on Bruno Shundov, let's go to Erica.
Sinabihan ni Bruno Shundov na kailangan nilang gumaling from their TNT syndrome. Magaling daw ang TNT but they are beatable, and each game is an opportunity na panindigan ang pagiging champion team din ng Rainer Shine. Sinabi pa niya, you have to get off the TNT monkey off your backs. Balik sa inyo?
Is that how he said it? That is her best Bruno Shundov impersonation.
Yes, it is.
Under 2 minutes na natitira in the opening quarter. And here's Rapa. Checking in for the first time. Good move, Ranidel.
Did say one of the things the Raiders Shine does quite a lot is fouls. And that actually brings Satoshi Ranidel to the free throw line.
Oh, congratulations kay Ranidel. Bakit? And you father to a baby girl. Baby girl? That's a nice thing about social media. Ranidel broke the news through Twitter. Yeah, it's a great way for fans to be connected to their favorite players, to know what they're going through. And these players, they're so generous with their life moments, and they share it with all their Twitter followers. I think it's fantastic. Enjoy it. I look at it public service.
Speaking of public service.
Oh, yeah. You get the opening, right? Oh, nice.
And right now, that scoring of Rainer Shine has not stopped. They're able to get scoring off the fast break, and also from the half-court set. That's a lot of damage done by their big men.
Ryan Reyes is now part of the ball game, and he hits a property.
Back in the ball game, and back healthy once again. Ryan Reyes, one of the important cogs para dito sa Falcon Tech because of the defense, the two-way aspect of basketball that he brings.
Under a minute to go in the opening quarter. 12-point lead para sa Rainer Shine, and Paul Lee locates JR Kinyahan. Here's Bamboy. 26 seconds remaining bago matapos ang opening quarter. Ranidel against Kinyahan. Over to Pamboy, and Pamboy goes back to Ranidel. He fakes. Shot clock down to 8. Tough shot, and no go. And there's Pamboy with the loose ball recovery.
Good energy in the part of Pamboy.
So Talk and Text can write the last sentence of the opening chapter. They're down by 12. Castro has the ball. The blur goes to Ranidel. Here's Pamboy for 3. And that ends the opening quarter. Rainer Shine led by as many as 16 points. They'll end the opening quarter with a 12-point advantage, 30-18. And they We're off to a hot start. Red hot outside shooting, most especially by their big men of all people. Shundog with a couple of threes. Kenyan also contributing para sa rain or shine, and the Elastopeners are ahead. We'll be back with the second period after these. You're watching Super Bowl Sunday, Talking Text against Rain or Shine, live from the Big Dome. So glad you could join us for our Sunday presentation. Special thanks to our radio partners, 90.7 Love Radio, 11.1 Yes FM, 96.3 Easy Rock, and BZSR 918 Sports Radio. So Chris Chu came off the bench for this ball game. It's Ranidel. Rapa, Pamboy, walking text, moving that ball around, and it ends it in Ranidel.
Usually when you're able to move that ball around, nakikita mo yung mga tira ng mga players, it's just so much smoother. Exactly what we saw there para kay Ranidel.
Rebound, Ryan Reyes. This is an 11-point game. And Jason Castro will take two.
Almost like you don't know what to do when Jason Castro's driving against you. Gotta choose which side, and sometimes when you choose the right side, you're still late.
A lot of times, even when you're on time, it doesn't matter. I think now we're beginning to see why a lot of the Talking Text fans were not exactly panicking when they were down by 16 points. They only had 2 points on the scoreboard for the most part of that opening period. Because Talking Text, this is a game. It's a ball game. It's not like Rain or Shine is up by 25 or 28.
And you don't get medals for winning a quarter.
This by Raba. Oh, steal, Ryan Reyes. So Al-Husseini, and Raba will score. Talking Text now, trimming the deficit to single digits.
Kind of like the energy of Raba Al-Husseini today. He's doing well defensively. He's showing hard in the pick and roll. And nakita natin ba tumatakbo rin siya sa fast break.
So it's just a 9-point lead for Rain or Shine, and it's a good pass mula kay Paul Lee.
Jason Castro's one of those guys, when he hears the whistle, his first reaction is always, ano? Anong nangyari? And then he realizes, wala nang pala akong magagawa eh. Taas na lang na kamay pagkatapos.
See, that's the difference between everyone who complains.
And Jason Castro.
No, and Sunny Capato. Sunny, Santiago Capato, when he complains, he'll complain all the way. He'll never admit, he ever admitted to a single foul in his entire PBA career. Maybe even basketball career.
First Sunny Capato, the first ever draft pick, first pick of the PBA draft. Ano ba yung name ng team? Yung ano, the Azudrin ba? Azudrin Busters. Coach of course was your father, right?
Yeah, remember that? He was coaching at Sneakers. Maraming shoes.
Tight shirt?
Oo, ganyan naman tight shirt. Tight shirt si
That's the foul, number 24, Raba Al-Husseini.
It's an offensive foul against Raba Al-Husseini. Pamboy will sit down, and Jimmy will re-enter the game.
Not a bad set para kay Pamboy. Came in there, got good energy, was able to move the ball well as the point guard of that team.
Nice right, Castro. 3-on-3 break. Jason Castro using all power, and he will take two. Castro pabalik-balik sa free throw line in the first half.
And here is where nagkakaroon malaking differential there sa free throw line. Walking back there sa mga free throws number 9 and 10.
Okay, what's the story here, Erica?
overtime na lang daw nung huling laro na naging aggressive ang TNT. Dinala na lang daw sila ng kanilang import at ng kanilang mga free throws. Going against Rain or Shine reminds them to treat every game like it's a championship game to maintain their stature. Challenge daw talaga ang Rain or Shine because coaching is very unpredictable at nalilito siya sa mga pinapasok ni coach. Balik sa inyo.
You have to wonder if until now, kasi sabi nga ni Eric, coaching is unpredictable with the starting units and strategies and whatnot. And I wonder if the Rain or Shine players, pati sila nagugulat o naguguluhan din paminsan-minsan kay Coach Ying.
I'm sure that's nothing to them already. I mean, they're just happy that they know that they're going to get an opportunity in the game.
Right now, Rain or Shine with an opportunity to increase their 8-point lead. Wow, long three. Ball lead.
I thought it was Jimmy Alapante. But Jason Castro, ever since pumasok siya sa laro, really brought in the offense para sa Talking Tex. Already 9 points here in the first half.
There's Paulie, no goal, rebound. Oh, Darrell Harvey got the loose ball. Ito na si Jimmy. Jimmy against Chris Chu. Jimmy goes up the top of the ball. Here's Aranya with a swipe. Ryan Aranya steps on the brakes. Costco, Paulie. Paulie, 4-3. Rebound goes to Pocket Tex.
3-point shot has gone well para dito sa Rain or Shine. Only their third miss out of 8 attempts.
Here's Randy Bell, top of the key.
Had some bad misses. He made some shots, but also some bad misses as well mula kay Randy Bell.
Shine, they love sharing that ball. It's by instinct, locating the key men. That's why they always have a balanced scoring attack.
He Cruz, one of the prime beneficiaries, because he's been able to work on his game. Tira niya sa labas, naging mas solid. That's why he's been able to score more.
Nagtitinginan niyo mga kaibigan natin sa scorer's table. Who do we credit the basketball? Hindi ko alam kung nakapagpa-side na sila sa Pocket Tex.
I think they're still asking right now.
Yeah. So you don't know if it was the jumper or a tip-in by Harvey. Meantime, that's a three by Ranidel De Ocampo.
Combination of Ranidel De Ocampo, Jason Castro, both guys are not really part of that starting unit. But they've done well.
Away para kay Chris Chu and Rain or Shine using 3-pointers to create separation between them and Pocket Tex.
Actually, both teams right now, Nico, they're doing well with the 3-point line. And you look at these teams, there's so much similarities na pwede nating masabi.
It was so glaring when they met in the finals, and it just turned out that Pocket Tex was the better version of Rain or Shine.
I remember talking to it was Coach Johnny Chico. There was I don't remember the game that he was or the series that was blue, but he said the two teams are alike. Magkapareho sila. Pareho ng system, pareho ng style. Kakaalaman na lang yan dun sa kung gaano kagaling yung mga players. Not saying that Rain or Shine's players are not good, but when you look at this Talking Tex team, there are MVPs there. Marami silang national players. Of course, Rain or Shine has theirs as well, but maybe just a little bit more experience and depth during that finals compared to Rain or Shine.
Experience so vital in that series. Meantime, Paulie to Chris Chu and Chris Chu.
Ang Talking Tex fans nag-cheer din eh. Chris Chu inside outside for today. First a 3-point shot, he knocks it down, but he's also able to run the break. Paul Lee, good eyes, good basket, Chris Chu.
Well, Rain or Shine still keeping Pocket Tex at bay next to Chris Chu. Terrific.
He's gotten used to the pace of the PBA, to what is expected from him, from Coach Yang Giao. He did not start the career as a pro exceptionally well, but unti-unti nakuha niya. Played better nung nagkaroon sila ng serye against Sunday Coffee. Not a great finals, but right now, since he's healthy, he knows already kung ano yung gagawin niya sa court. Good game for him so far today.
Erica?
The very sweet and charming Chris Q ay nakikita natin medyo magulang din pala sa laro, but he clarified if being tough and physical is what it means, then sige, I am that. He's just doing his best now because he needs to hide in his game. At this point, he's been reliable in creating plays for his team, but he would also like to get back to scoring and making shots for himself to be more well-rounded and threatening to opponents. Balik sa inyo.
Warning, Rainer Shine head coach Yang Giao.
There's a warning against Rainer Shine head coach Yang Giao. And Erica used two adjectives, which I'm not sure she ever uses for other players. Sweet and charming. The sweet and charming Chris Chu.
Sumingit bang ano eh.
Pagbungat ng I'm going to review all the tapes, all the games of Erica, and I'm going to find out if she ever used the adjective sweet and charming for any other player.
Pupusta ako na first time na ginamit. First time. Gagamitin rin next week para di mahalata.
For another player, sa Brad. 5:15 remaining dito sa second period. Rainer Shine on top, 48-34. Rainer Shine to get their 7th victory in the Commissioner's Cup as Jimmy on courts. Ang Pocket Tex naman hoping to move up to 6-4 if they win tonight. On the floor for Pocket Tex, Kelly Williams, Donel Harvey, Jim Elapat, Pam Gamalinda, and Larry Fonacher. Donel Harvey firing away.
He's not shot well today. Had a big game against the Gun, but so far sa akin, Donel Harvey, only 4 points and out of 9 shots.
Pam Gamalinda will score against Larry Fonacher. Pocket Texters is hanging around. Hindi naman sila pumapayag na lumayo ng tuluyan itong Rainer Shine.
You know, and they used a lot of their players. They're a player away from using everyone that's available for them. The only guy that has not played that is suited up is actually John Carriol.
Here's Lee. That's good. And there's a push coming from Donel Harvey.
And last time that they did play against each other, mainit rin yung labanan ni Donel Harvey at saka ni Tino Shandal.
It's a hand-to-hand combat. Okay. Setting the call. There was contact, no doubt.
Donel Harvey able to compete, and when you see him when he's jogging, it's almost like he's just dragging his left foot through the court.
Kelly Williams firing away. Sunod-sunod na ito, Pocket Tex missing their outside shots. Gabe Norwood for 3. Bad break. Oh, they were Pocket Tex players.
That's what I thought as well.
Disputed that rebound. So, lucky break for the Tropang Texters.
He's got a better view because Miski dalawa pa tayo nakakita na
Pinakasalamin pa. Here's Castro, floater, no go. Oh, a lot of misses for Pocket Tex towards the end of the second quarter. Jeff Chat, baseline. Last punch on Pocket Tex.
ito naman, nakala natin sa mga ata angulo natin
Malayo yung upuan natin. So, good tap by Jaire. Twirls.
We're kicking a little bit here, but this is no laughing matter for Coach Norman Black.
No,
That's why gagamit pa siya ng isang timeout dito dahil 17 na to, and right now his players unable to match the intensity of the opposing side. That list.
Isn't he number 7? Sino yan? Number 7, Jerwin Gaco. I think he has like over 11,000 votes.
Sa ibang lugar, hindi na maging konsehal yun.
Hindi pa ako nangangampanya sa lagay na yan. Wala pa akong sinasabi na let's send Jerwin Gaco. Wala pa akong sinasabi ko.
Ikaw ba yung may Cory Magic?
Jeff shot. And here's Naru Rodriguez. Rodriguez sends it to Gabe Norwood. Shot clock down to 8. Gabe pulls up. Rainer Shine's outside shooting has been lethal in this first half.
Yes, it seems that it doesn't matter who's the one that's taking the shot. The only thing that's happening is if they throw it up, pumapasok at pumapasok lamang.
Junel Harvey. Rainer Shine in command, 55-38. Harvey will miss just so many misses here for Talk and Text in the second period. Junel Harvey, 3 out of 11. Here's Jeff. Chaire. Larry. And Larry scores. Here's
And right now, this is a scary team to face. Speaking of Rainer Shine, when they're sharing the basketball this way.
Under 2 minutes to go. What has been a Rainer Shine first half. An emphatic block by Larry Rodriguez.
Gotta bring back Renidel. Renidel was very successful when he was on the court. That's why binalik ni Coach Carlo Black. They're looking for offense right now.
Shot clock down to 3. And Castro will lose the ball. Talk and Text will keep the basketball. Kaya lang, 1 second na lang ang natitira sa kanila shot clock. They go to Junel Harvey over Sundog.
They touch the ring.
There's Ranidel, powers it through. And 2 free throws para kay Ranidel de Oca.
I love the way that ginawa ng referee. Nag-a-appeal na pa yung Rainer siya. Sige, inbound na lang natin para wala nang kwento. Wala na diskusyon. Even free throws now. We look at the eyes of Coach Norman Black and he's wondering, ano ba yung nangyari dito? This is not the same team that I saw in the last 3 minutes of the game against Petron and in overtime.
So, we go back to shock and awe. Kasi diba, lumapit na yung Talk and Text kanina. They trimmed that deficit down to 8 points. And then now, Rainer Shine taking control once again. Quite convincingly so. Outside shots, ball movement, they're getting layups, they're getting 3-pointers. And then you guys like Ranidel, they're missing free throws, they're missing outside shots as well.
Yeah, those 2 misses, especially that second shot of Ranidel. Way off.
So 1 minute na natitira here in the first half.
He's a guy that they're hoping to get something from as well. Larry Pinochet, very quiet so far.
Here's Larry for 3. That's a long 2-pointer para kay Pinochet.
First 2 points for him. He's actually the best player nung huling naglaban itong dalawang team.
Shundog against a double team. Second personal laban kay Ranidel.
Talk and Text, they're not at their best defensively so far, but even when they're at their best defensively, this is not a great shot blocking team. So when you have guys that are big, you have an opportunity to just go hard and hindi ka masyadong matakot sa balkal.
Ali P could certainly help with that department.
Ali P could help, and you look at their import. He's not a huge shot blocker unlike some of the imports na nandiyan sa ibang mga team.
25 seconds remaining in the second period, missed by Ranidel. Junel Harvey with a rebound. So Talk and Text can write the last sentence of the second chapter. They're down by 19 big points.
That's just knowing the situation. Jason Castro, they run the same play, but they allow him to go one-on-one. But he realized how to give para sa Rainer Shine, go early and make Rainer Shine give it up. Very smart play on his part.
10 seconds remaining. The Blur has the basketball. They're down by 19 here in the second period. 4 seconds to go. Castro over to Donnell Harvey. And 1.7 seconds remaining here. Gabe from half court. Short. Despite that air ball, excellent first half for Rainer Shine. 59 points in the first half for the Elastopainters against this Talking Text team, 59-42. We'll go back to the studio with Michael Dunnigan and Ritz Asul with Aaron and the Tower of Power. It's coming up in a moment.
Wala ako naririnig.
Okay, thanks to the guys in the studio and Mike Dunnigan and of course Miss Ritz Asul. First quarter summary, we go back to the story of this game. It's been all rain or shine. And kasi ang ganda nung puhunan ng rain or shine nung opening quarter.
Well, it helped that Talking Text could not buy a basket. Started 0 out of 11 from the field. That actually allowed Rain or Shine to erect the 16-point lead. Tingnan mo yung diferensya ng big men points. 23 na kaagad para sa Rain or Shine. And this was helped by the 3-point shooting of their big men. Got a lot of rebounds and also sharing the basketball to make basketball easy was Rain or Shine with those 8 assists. When you look at the second quarter, Miko, look at Chris Chu. Quietly had a huge second quarter. He had 10 points. Shooting well was Rain or Shine continuously. Even in the second quarter, it was 11 out of 20, more than 50% from the field. Continued to do well the rebounding. But there was a silver lining para sa Talking Text. No matter how small, there was a silver lining because nakita natin that they were able to go out and run and get points from forcing Rain or Shine into turnovers. That's a lot of points in one quarter. 16 points in fast breaks and turnovers.
Sure, it was very interesting inside the Talking Text locker room. They were down by as many as 19 points in the first half. You go back to the opening quarter, parang walang tamang nangyari sa Talking Text in the first 12 minutes of the ball game.
They did have an opportunity, or they made a game, somewhat a game of it. Latter part of that first quarter, they cut the lead down to 8. Pero nahanap ng Rain or Shine ulit yung bearings nila. The idea of passing the basketball, moving the ball faster than the man. Critical period here for both teams. Third quarter, start of the third. Rain or Shine, if they get a good start here, force Norman Black into an early timeout. Same thing on the part of Talking Text. You get a 5-6-0 run, and all of a sudden, it's a different ballgame.
Welcome to the third quarter. This opens our second half. Rain or Shine against Talking Text. Rain or Shine looking for win number 7. If they win tonight, they will join Alaska on top of the team standings at 7-3. Talking Text naman, if they win, they'll go up to 6-4. In fact, they will tie Rain or Shine in the team standings. These are two teams na bahagi ng upper half ng team standings here in the Commissioner's Cup.
These two teams are dreaming of that 1 and 2 spot. They feel that they're definitely in the mix of that right now.
Here's Chris Chu. Chris Chu had 10 points, 9 minutes in the first half.
And right there, nakita natin, comes out of ball movement. Talking Text sent too many people to Bruno Shundov. There were 3 guys there. When that happens, very hard to rotate.
Rich Alvarez against Ronnie Matias. Here's Larry to Harvey. Shot clock down to 4, and Donnell Harvey will miss. Jimmy wide open, and he knocks it down.
He's good because you look at the first shot that he took in this quarter. It was an open 3-point shot. 2 open looks. Not very often that you'll be able to get away with that with Jimmy.
Here's Kinyan. He's joined by Shundov, Paul Lee, Chris Chu, and Ronnie Matias. Impeccable outside shooting para sa Rain or Shine.
At the moment, Nico, they are 7 out of 13 from 3-point range. That's over 50%.
Let's send you to Erica.
Sabi ni Coach Josh, it's really a bad effort from their end. Kaya naman medyo malungkot talaga ang vibes sa dugout. So they just have to really commit to defense. But it's a different story with Rain or Shine, who's done a good job defending a very potent offensive team. Ituloy-tuloy lang din daw ang kanilang magandang shooting and rebounding to maintain the rhythm and momentum and to continue controlling the tempo. Balik sa inyo.
So Salamat, Erica. And Rain or Shine retains possession. They're up by 20 big points. I thought this is their biggest lead of the ball game. Shundog, baseline. That's good.
Yeah, it's a ball movement. Most of the points, other than that 3-point shot of Paul Lee na sariling sikap, the points coming from good ball movement.
That's a foul against Chris Chu. That's his second personal. Still, the stoic look on Coach Norman Black. You can see Eugene Tejada right behind the Talking Tex bench, having an extended vacation here in Manila. Rich, go. Yes, the Chu. Sharing basketball, scoring in transition, and Rain or Shine pouring it off.
And the big concern is the transition defense. Dahil may madali yung tira na yun. It was a free, it eventually became an open layup because Rain or Shine able to push the ball harder.
Canidel, strong move. Here's Paul Lee. Separation, no go. Rebound, Rich Alvarez. Rain or Shine still in command here. 68-44. Jimmy for three.
Paul Lee had made that shot. You'd think Coach Norman will force to call a timeout, but they miss a layup. How many times have I said that you miss a layup in this league, you generally will pay on the other side.
Here's Shundog. Basket is good. That's a foul. So Apollo's free throws, see Shundog and this Rain or Shine offense is free flowing, and it's working. Eight and 17 to go in the third quarter, and Rain or Shine already with 70 points on the scoreboard. Just a convincing performance so far. And for Talking Tegs, not the best start that they can have in the early moments of the third. And it's all Rain or Shine in this ball game. Chris Chu, big reason why the Elastopainers are controlling this ball game.
They take shots from the outside because of good ball movement. You see all these shots coming from nice passes. He's also had opportunities to run. When he's running, also taking full advantage of a defense, a Talking Tex defense that is not really what we're used to seeing.
Quite a solid ball game para kay Chris. Missing only one field goal so far. Getting the pull up. Only 4 points so far para kay Pinochet.
It's not really bad in terms of his scoring at Talking Tex. We're about near 50 points at the 750 mark. Only problem is, ang dami nang binigay ng punto sa kalaban.
What a pass. Chris Chu to Shundog, and Shundog hits it on the second try. 25 points para kay Shundog, and it's as if nothing is impeding the ball movement of Rain or Shine tonight.
Right now, it's the offense of Rain or Shine that is dictating how this game is going to be played.
Here's Ranidel. He's got double team. Ranidel with nowhere to go. Paul Lee on the move. Paul Lee all the way. What a move!
Sinukat ni Paul Lee yung galaw na yun. You can see that he really knew what he wanted to do even when he crossed that 3-point line.
Meantime, Jimmy goes to Donnell Harvey. And Donnell Harvey will miss. Here's Paul Lee again. Chris Chu, fouled by Larry, and Chris and Larry both crash to the floor.
Speaking of guys, another guy that's having a good game. As you see, Chris Chu, he's having a grand time right now with the game that he's playing. But this guy right here, ganda rin ang pinapakita ni Paul Lee. This is already his 9th and 10th points. Just enough spin. Get that across. 10 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists para kay Paul Lee.
1 out of 2 for Chris Chu. That's enough to give Rainer Shine a 75-49 advantage as near the halfway mark of the third. Hard to carry. That ball will go to Ronnie Matias. Matias, sidestep, hangs high, no good.
These were almost, you're expecting the sidestep from Ronnie Matias.
It's right by Paul Lee. Tapos tumama pa kay Jason Castro. So all goes back to Rainer Shine.
Yung kapiyansa ng Rainer Shine. Right now, they're getting beaten on the dribble a number of times, but they're able to recover and get blocks when you think libre na yung layup para sa Talking Text.
Oh, you wonder what goes on in the mind of Norman Black. Sumisilip niya yung scoreboard. He's looking what's going on the floor. Right now, he's not going right for his team. Castro, carry, block. Here's Paul Lee. Shundog, reverse is good.
Transition offense versus a transition defense that's just been absent all day para dito sa Talking Text. Paul Lee able to push the basketball. Very hard to stop a 7-footer if he's down there on the fast break.
Ito ang ating mga ulala, mahal ng masa fans of the day mula sa masarap, malaman, mura, at kahit din yan kasi easy to open ulalam, ready to eat ulam para sa masa, mahal ng masa, ulalam, 15 pesos lang. Is that Bruno Mars?
Hindi, si Randy. Randy Santiago, guest natin.
Shades! Shades in bro ah!
Malakas ang ilaw dito sa ano, iba ka nagsa-sunblock pa dito.
Shades ha? Kelly Williams against Shundo. Kelly with nowhere to go. Somehow got a foul from Shundo. Good guy. Sa ulala. His shades are still on. He's not removing it.
At Megrado.
Akala ko naman for effect lang. Alam mo na, titip tayo bro eh. Diba? Shades muna. He's still wearing shades.
Umuuna lang po.
Ayun, tinanggal din sa wakas. Hindi nangyayari sa court.
Everything going wrong right now para sa Talking Text. Just saw a stat. At present, they've given up already 8 points a layup to Rainer Shine. And then, right now, speaking of Talking Text, 8 points pa lang naambag nila for the entire quarter.
That guy's wearing the shades again. Okay, here, meantime, here's Shundog. Over to Ronnie Matias. Passing the ball and scoring at will.
Too easy right there para sa Rainer Shine.
5 minutes remaining in the third quarter and Jason Castro working on Chris Chu.
This offense not going anywhere.
Kelly Williams fires the three. Interior defense by Rainer Shine. Unfronted. Here's Kingahan to Matias. And Matias will score!
To make it a 31-point lead, that like to stun. Saktong-sakto lang. And it only happens kapag may patas. Matias!
Raba with nowhere to go. Larry! Not right. Nothing going right for Talking Text in the third quarter.
Get the rebound, Rainer Shine, and they are able just to flip it over quickly and try to get their offense very, very fast.
Erika, what do you have for us?
Maganda ang simulang pinakita ng Rainer Shine. Magpasa hanggang ngayon, talaga namang nananaig sa kanila ang pride na huwag matalo against TNT. And mukhang tumama sa kanila ang reminder ng the very sweet and charming na si Coach Yang. And that it's a mortal sin to hesitate and not take open shots. Balik sa inyo, very sweet and charming, guys.
I can't believe you. Okay, ito storya niyan. Hearing a reporter earlier about Christian back in the first half, and she used the adjective sweet and charming.
Yes.
And then we questioned na kung nagamit niya na yan to other players, and now she decides to use it on Yeng Giao.
Guilty. Guilty na. Halata, guilty. Guilty na. Coach yung ginamit eh. Oh yeah, Coach Yang will be really happy though. It's also gonna be the first time na yun ang pinag-describe kay Coach Yang.
I'm sure. But it must give Coach Yeng supreme satisfaction that they're doing this dominant performance against Talk and Text so far. Do this to Talk and Text, you know you're doing something really well.
And it's good news for them because remember they had a 2-game losing streak right before their last win, and they need to be able to win against top competition. And this right now is a good statement game at least for this third. Mahaba pa to,
but I think at this point, I can safely say it will take a miracle of biblical proportions for Talk and Text to overcome this, not because of the time element, but just because of,
the energy level,
body language, and then on the other side, yung confidence level, yung ultimate kumpiyansa ng Rain or Shine, that they're passing the ball, they're sharing the ball. It's going to take a lot para pasagin itong flow ng Rain or Shine.
And when Talk and Text, even in the days of Coach Short, they would have these games that they were not really 100%, but they were able to find some of those games they were able to pull out because they're able
Wow! Patas! Demetrius! Did you see that? He went behind the back, on the move. Woo! One fluid motion. That's Ronnie Matias for you. We're still in the third quarter so far. Dominant performance by Rain or Shine without a shadow of a doubt. Meantime, the PBA Referees Academy is once again opening its doors to a new breed of game officials. This is your chance to become a part of the PBA family. The requirements for application are on your TV screens. Forms are available at the PBA office and at the venue during game days. Application period is from April 1 to the 30th. For more details, call 470-2768 up to 70.
Now can I read it the way I want to read it? Read it okay. Hindi ka ba umabot sa Thurs Entertainment? At gusto mo pang lumabas sa TV? Masyado ka bang maliit para magbilibiling Pilipinas? Mag-apply na bilang referee at araw-araw mula Wednesday, Friday, Sabado at Linggo, makikita ka na sa TV.
That's a high pressure job, and no, remember what you talked about the last game that we worked together, yung referees, you want former players to apply.
And it doesn't matter if you're a PBA player. Generally, there's so many players, good players that are not able to make it at the college, after the college level, not able to make it.
So sa'yo, okay na at least kapag laro ka ng varsity, UAP, NCAA.
Yes. But preferably if you're able to play the pros because your knowledge of the game does heighten habang tumatagal o lumalayo ka dun sa karera ng basketball.
That's the most prominent shot not winding down here on Rain or Shine. EY, hook shot, no go. Most prominent ex-player na maging referee has to be Tito Colon.
Yes.
Raba with a miss. Just one shot at the basket for Talk and Text. Can't get multiple possessions in this third quarter. So with a minute and 19 remaining in the third, it's still all Rain or Shine. 85-56. So NBA kasi Haywood work pa naman yung parang
Dating player
Indiana Pacers nung araw, and now he's a referee. Automatic ba? You respect the referee more if alam mo, let's say you're a coach or you're a veteran and alam mo either naabutan mo or alam mo naglaro siya sa PBA. Would you respect him more?
And the ones that the players respect the most, The referees that have a quick trigger. The ones that will call you a technical, pag konting complaint lang, yun ang kinakatakutan ng mga player.
Art Herrera, one of our veteran officials. This is referee Noy Guevara and our third referee
Diba? Pwedeng pang dance.
Jimmy Mariano.
Diba?
I don't know. Hindi ko na sakit if it's a qualification na medyo photogenic ka. I'm not so sure.
Mas maganda rin yun, diba? Para malay mo, may sarili kang fans club.
Shot clock down to 3.
Everything working for Raiders. I think the only shot that they didn't make was that right now hook shot from half court. Everything right now just falling their way. And on the opposite side, para naman sa talk and text, this is a nightmare after what it seemed like something they could build on. Ito sa panalo nila kontra sa Petron.
That gut-wrenching win against Petron in overtime. And again, another turnover here against Toronto. The statement was, you beat Petron. People will look at you. Okay, you're an elite team. You're a title contender. You can beat the talented teams. And when you play a game, it's hard to imagine that you will be blown out. Not like this.
And right now, no excuse call.
That's against Bamga Malinda. Hinawakan si Gabe Norwood, then Rainer Shine going for an alley-oop. We're saying,
But not make any excuses. Pocket text, maybe they're playing without a full deck of cards. Yes, we know that Jared is not available. But Ryan Reyes, we don't know how healthy it is. I remember during the times in which Coach Scott needed a run. Usually, ang set niyan would be Jason Castro, Ryan Reyes, Jared Villinger, and then he would just push the basketball and just try to force the opponent into a pace para makahabol sila. Because when the lead is this big, you have to find a way to have more possessions. Because pag konti yung possession, there's no way makakahabol ka.
here's Norwood. Shot clock down to 3. Norwood for 3.
Halos lahat ng iba to ng Rainer Shine nandun, and they're still putting pressure in the backcourt.
It's a merciless performance for Rainer Shine with 21 seconds remaining in the third. Rainer Shine so close to 100 points, and we're just about to end the third quarter. Tapos yung talking text naman,
Naipit.
wala pa sa 60 points.
They were okay heading into this quarter because they put in 42. But in this quarter, they only scored 14 points. On the flip side, ang binigay nila sa kalaban, 32.
Seemed like that opening quarter was the sign of things to come when Rainer Shine scored 30 in that opening period.
30 points and hasn't slowed down since then.
Not one bit. 4 seconds remaining in the third. Norwood fires again. It is a masterful performance for the Rainer Shine Elastopainters. They've lost to Talk and Text 6 straight times. Looks like they're determined to snap that losing skid with Talk and Text.
Able to carry that good feeling. And all those questions, and finally some smiles on that bench. Something that they haven't been able to do pagkalaban nila on Talk and Text.
So welcome to the fourth and final quarter, and if you're just joining us, makamasak kayo sa score. There's nothing wrong with that score. It's not a typo. It's all Raiders Shine. In fact, it's been all Raiders Shine since the start of the game. Raiders Shine led 30-18 at the end of the first half. It was 2016. At the end of the first half, Raiders Shine led 59-42, and then just everything unraveling for Talking Text in that third quarter.
Full court pressure. You gotta do something different right now if you're Talking Text. A little show para sa full court pressure and make it as respectable first. Then see if maybe you can still pull off an upset.
Jimmy Alapag, Del Harvey, Randy Del Papo, Aaron Aban and Tapta Malinda, the unit on the floor for Talking Text. For more on Tropa, let's go to Eric Kapatid.
Kitang-kita ang frustration from the last huddle before this last quarter. As Coach Norman was explaining the play, marami sa mga players ang napapailing na lang at spelled as TSK.
Correct.
Papaganon.
Correct.
Balik sa inyo.
That really sums up the experience of Talking Text tonight. SMH. Eric's Hadi. Tapta Malinda firing away.
And the idea of your Talking Text, first make it respectable. After you make it respectable, then you flirt with making it disastrous para sa Raider
Try and
side.
make a move. Gabe. Ryan. Rania. Bumped.
They're just a step slowly. I don't know. It doesn't matter if it's the first guy on the bench or the last guy that came into this game. As a whole, this Talking Text team, it almost seemed like they look tired mula doon sa laro nila nung Biyernes.
You brought it up in the first quarter pa lang. You already brought it up because you'd be seeing signs of maybe it was an emotionally draining game. I'm sure it was. You have to force, the game to go into overtime with a big 3 by Jimmy, and then overtime they poured it on. In fact, I think Petron didn't score in that overtime. But again, Riverside, if it is true that Talking Text is emotionally drained, Riverside is the exact team that will take advantage in that condition.
Yes, all they want to see right now is this win streak of Talking Text against them to end.
By all indications, it might end in less than one quarter. And if Rain or Shine holds on to this mammoth lead, look now, they will catch up with Alaska on top of the team standings.
And that pushes Talking Text down 2 games in the loss column to the guys that are ahead of them, which are Alaska, Petron, and Rain or Shine. That's huge, huh? You have to be down 2 games in the loss column, given the fact that there's about an average of 4 games left per team.
Is Gonel Harvey. And if Talking Text does not overhaul this huge lead, aabutan na sila ng game 21. Sandy Coffee, Ginebra will be far behind.
No, they'll be tied with
Yeah, there
Ginebra.
you go. Oh, yun, tama. Kasi 5-5 na si Ginebra. So, you'll have, if Rain or Shine wins this, 4 teams at 5-5.
Labo-labo na yan.
Wow. By the way, if you didn't catch the first game earlier, Ginebra winning over Baraka Bull. LA Tenorio having a magnificent performance, 27 points for LA. Wala si Mark Nagiwa. He'll be out for 2 weeks.
So able to pull that one off.
Yeah, with Macklin and LA carrying the load.
So many streaks now in the PBA. Global Port, 7-game losing streak. Baraka Bull, 6-game losing streak. We talked about Talking Text win streak against Rain or Shine, which is strong as well, 6. And Talking Text win streak, 9 games dating back to last year. It's something that we can't have right now. Turnovers. Coach Norman, if his team does end up losing this game, that'll be the first time that he'll be at 500 after 10 games in a long time.
Here's Aranya. And now Gabe from the right side. Here in the 4th and final quarter. Sentiments of Raiders are just overflowing.
When you have a 30 3-point lead
against Talk and Text. You don't say that often.
pero sa pangalawang beses na para sa Talk and Text na natambakan sila sa conferential show. Remember the other time, I believe it was Sunday Coffee that blew them out of the gym as well. Best shooting day of Norwood so far this conference. That's 4 3-pointers para kay Gabe Norwood.
They really set the tone. You know, the Raiders Shine big men set the tone. Belga, Shundov, and Pinyan hitting 3-point shots in the opening quarters. But then that's why it took Raiders Shine. They're perpetually dangerous as Aranya throws an air ball. So, when everyone clicks, because the bigs can hit threes, their backward can hit threes, and di pag nagsabay-sabay sila, you're really in trouble.
Same thing. And that's something you can say about Talk and Text as well. But the only problem is, sabay-sabay uminit ang Rain or Shine. Sa Talk and Text naman, sabay-sabay na tumig.
As expected, Chito Jaime will see action because it's such a commanding lead for Rain or Shine.
I think he's there for defense.
Finance experience and Chito Jaime.
Actually, he actually started, if I'm not mistaken, in the game against Talk and Text.
At some point, all Rain or Shine players will get the opportunity to start. It's just Yang Yao's system. It's his way. There's Chito Jaime. Cross court they go, Norwood. Shot clock reads 12 and Journey will miss. You know, with the way Talkitex has performed dito sa Commissioner's Cup, and there's contact between them and Chito Jaime. It seems that, you know, we're not used to seeing Talkitex sa bandang gitna.
Yes.
That they seem average. You know what I mean? Yung normally kasi they're competing for full time. Top 2, top 3, they'll make a run. We're just not used to seeing Talkitex like what, 2 times they'll be blown away off the court this way. Okay, we'll talk about Talkitex at length. Pagbalik na. Kilometer run. You don't have to yung wear the compression uniform. Hindi that's not for everybody.
15-2, bali wala sa'yo yan. Parang nagpunta ka lang sa sari-sari to sa kanto lang sa'yo yan.
Every run, no matter the distance, is a challenge and an experience.
Some may be shorter than others. Experience.
Pero excuse me pag ako tumatakbo, medyo mas challenge ako yung maiksi yung stride ko eh. So yung 15K sa akin parang 21K na yun.
Saya sa rubber shoes dahil dami hakbang eh. Talo sa hakbang.
Upot agad yung rubber shoes. Okay, Donnell Harvey and the rest of the Tropong Texans, at this point in the game, you know, what you're trying to do is wag nang palakihin ito lamang ng Rain or Shine. 7 and 22 remaining.
Not doing a good job of it. Missing free throws there is Donnell Harvey.
It's Chito Jaime. At this point, Chito Jaime shoots like 3 straight 3-pointers. I will no longer be surprised.
Your top in deck. Jason Castro has to be able to try to run and get right quickly. Might be a little bit too late.
Owners of the Globe unite. Jonathan Uilon will take the place of T.Y. Tang. So, I think Coach Yang used everyone now. Yeah. Wala namang injured sa kanila eh. So yeah, that's practically everyone. That is everyone. Yes. Practically, that's everyone. Jaime will miss. Rebound Ronidel. Papoy. Papoy. Last no goals. That kind of ball game for Talkitex. One shot at a time. They've missed a lot of looks. Of course, you give a lot of credit to Rain or Shine. They've made every attempt difficult here in the second half.
When you start out 0 out of 11 and you can't get a good run going, it seems that lalong lumiliit o paliit na paliit yung ring para sa people.
moment for Rain or Shine. They will now join Alaska on top of the team standings. And there's a swipe by Jason Castro over to Popboy Raymond. Of course, with regards to Alaska, we might as well discuss the controversial finish in the last game. And the commissioner was interviewed earlier during the first game. The ruling on the last
He was very clear on the ruling. I think the rule is very clear. Stuff on Alaska because this rule was actually brought up. Remember there was a game, I believe it was Ginebra versus Petrol, and there was clarification on that rule, and that was about 2 conferences ago, I believe. And ever since then, naging malinaw na yung rule. Kung sino yung pumasok, ibig sabihin, either if you're the defensive team, you get another free throw. If you're the offensive team, cancel yung free throw to Gitira. Pag sabay, chop ball. And if you see that play, it seemed that parang nag-double, bumagal yung release ni Calvin Abueva at nagpasukan lahat sabay-sabay. Be it the San Big Coffee player or the Alaska player, it doesn't really matter anymore who went in first. What's important is, nandun ka ba? Pumasok ka ba? And
The answer is,
pumasok sila lahat. Yeah. Tough loss though for Alaska because if you look at that Alaska team, you take away the 2 games that they've had against San Mig Coffee, only have 1 loss. Only one other team has been able to scratch or put a mark on that Alaska squad.
and now this Rainer side team, with this impending victory, they will join Alaska as so far the elite, the cream of the crop. They'll be in the penthouse suite of the team standings. Less than 5 minutes to go in the ball game. We'll be right back with more. This is the 4th quarter. With us with our remaining moments dito sa 4th and final quarter. And here's our Presto Cool Under Pressure play brought to you by Presto Coolant. Prevents overheating, works better than water alone. Now in a cool new packaging. PNM. Patas ni Matias. Sabi tago. Sabi ng tuwalya. See the score, it's just a dominant performance para sa Rain or Shine Alaska Painters, and they're good wire to wire, end to end, first quarter all the way to the 4th quarter. There was a moment in the 2nd quarter na ibaba ng Talking Text for 68 points yung lamang ng Rain or Shine, and we were saying, ayan na, ito na yung Talking Text, ito na yung, that's why they weren't panicking in the opening quarter even when they were down by 16 points. But yung 3rd quarter, which was surprising because normally the trailing team, you go into the locker room, masasabot ka, you recalibrate, and then you come out strong, and then you make it again. But in the 3rd, baliktad. Rain or Shine came out, I mean, like a house on fire. Yeah, they meant business. They went to work early. Hindi na nakaporma yung Talking Text.
But at the same time, they did go to work. But Talking Text made it easy for themselves as well. So many layups ang binigay ng Talking Text for Rain or Shine. There were fast breaks that kulang bumababa para dito sa Talking Text. All in all, like you said, they look like a tired team.
To make matters worse, as Ronel Harvey is fouled, you have a Rain or Shine team that is complete. I mean, they're so complete. All their players have got to play tonight, all the way up to Jonathan Boloan. No injuries, wala naman tayong nababalita na kung anumang conflict within that team. It's a happy bunch. Pinapanood nila ng Wally Yes, we're talking about it. And look at Rain or Shine right now. They'll create that separation with Talking Text dun sa top 4. And as a matter of fact, they'll go up and tie Alaska at 7.
And what happens also, Miko, is you're going to see Rain or Shine go up. And when they go up, a lot of chances kung saan babagsak yung dalawang top seed. Malaki na ngayon yung pag-asa yung Petron, Alaska, and Rain or Shine because they have a 2-game spread on the next guy in the loss column.
There's no Malinda. They get the layup with 3 and 4. Of course, you Air 21. That's the team that is surprising a lot of people. This, okay, granted, this is a surprising blowout for Rain or Shine, but in general, no one is that surprised that Rain or Shine is a contender. They've been contending for championships in the last 3, 4 conferences. Air 21 right now is on a winning streak. The import, Michael Dunnigan, who's inside the studio, he is really.
Naalala ko tuloy yung pick niya doon sa buhok.
Kaya mo na,
Parang, di ba po, sana si
they're listening right now. I know Benji and Aaron and Mike are listening right now.
Bagay kay Benji may pick na.
I don't know if it's anatomically possible.
Kaya yun.
Masking tape. Ulan for 3 and to miss. Bola pa rin ang Raider shot. 3 minutes remaining here in the fourth and final quarter. Will Vince Asul still be in the studio after this game? We're trying to confirm this. Wait, I'll text her. Really? Talaga? Text mo. I-DM ko na. Ha? I-DM ko na. Alright, approaching the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter. With complete cast in the studio. You have Benji Paras, you have Air 21 Import hopefully Miss Rich Asul is still
Yung pa sa pangalan mo? Ay, Artepes ni
speaking it up. As Naba scores. So Rainer Shine will move up to 7 and 3 and Talking Tex will slide down to 5 and 5. We can't we can't harp on this enough. But it's strange to see Talking Tex go 500, even 500 record. Especially, they have Donnell. This guy made them successful.
They were close. They were 3 throws away from making it. And it doesn't get any easier para sa Talking Tex. It is a tough draw for them. They play a tough Sunway Coffee team. Global Port, they're reeling right now. That's probably one game that you think na meron silang advantahe. But then, the rest after that, Ginebra, and then Petron. They're one of those teams that have a tough last 4 games.
Again, merciless performance by the Elastopators, and they really went to town from downtown.
They were due from 3-point range. This was a team who mentioned 9th best in the league in terms of 3-point shooting. With the talent that they have from the 3-point line, and that's something that's been their strength for most conferences, it was bound to correct itself. Unluckily, para sa Talking Tex, it corrected itself against them.
Baka malungkot si Ritz because isn't she like the Jimmy Alapag phone?
Don't worry, I have a shoulder to cry on.
Really? I'm not so sure. You weren't part of her list. She had a list of PBA personalities that she likes. Jimmy was there, Chris Chu was there, Mark Agiwa was there, LA was there. You were not on that list.
You like na yung Facebook page ko. It's enough for me.
Wheelers unite. Jonathan Bulon contributing to this impending victory for Rainer Shine, and he even completes the 3-point play.
Those are key baskets right there.
But momentum changer.
Pang 31.
Neto ako, I would say this with all sincerity. I saw Jonathan play in the PBL. That young man can play.
Yeah, remember he was actually a best player at the end.
Yeah, there was one game
of last conference.
Yeah.
But, in the PBA, there are 12 to 14 players in each team. And there's just not enough talent in this country. Or sorry, not enough teams to take care of all the talent. There's so many talented players in the Philippines.
The final score, 116-85. Rainer Shine manhandles Talking Tex sa loob ng Big Dome, and it's their first win over Talking Tex since July 1, 2012.
Almost a year.
Yeah.
Almost a year in the making. and able to get. But you know what, for Rain or Shine, yes, this feels good. Breaks the streak. But boy, you know that they wish this was something that they could have figured out last conference.
Nevertheless, Rain or Shine, maganda yung timing nito. They move up in the team standings. They join Alaska on top of the team standings. And right now, let's talk to our best player. It's Gabe Norwood. Gabe, how do you explain this? You just blasted Talking Text off the court. How did you guys do it?
We finally made some shots.
You made a lot of shots.
Yeah, I think that was all we had to do. You know, we played some good games, even dating back to the last conference. But we just had to make shots. We defended well, we made them work, but in the fourth quarter they came out and just smacked us, and this time we were able to make shots throughout the game.
So Gabe, you're saying no drastic changes from what happened in the finals and the first game of this conference for you guys?
I don't think so. They came out, they played well, and I think we also got them at a good time. They just played 2 days ago. They might be a little bit tired. They got some injuries and things like that. So that combined with us making shots made that win happen.
Especially for you, 4 3-pointers today. Must be one of the most number of threes you made in a game.
Yeah, I think in my life, to be honest with you. I know I only had one game with 2 in college, so yeah, 4 might be the most since high school.
Great shooting performance for the entire team, and I'm sure your fans are ecstatic with this merciless victory. Why don't you greet all the Rain or Shine fans tonight?
And all the Rain or Shine fans out there, we appreciate you, we need you, and we felt you guys here with us tonight in this situation where we needed to win, and hopefully we'll see you next week on Sunday.
Congratulations, Gabe Norwood and the rest of the Elastopainters winning over Talk and Text 116 to 85. Remember, the Active Center is next with special guests Michael Donegan and Miss Ritz Azul. Why, you shoulder the client for Ritz? I don't know. Asa pa. Erica Padilla, Jason Webb, Miko Alili signing off from the Big Dome. Let's go back to the studio with Aaron, Benji, Mike, and Ritz.